Hello, good morning to everyone. Welcome to the Contemporary World. I am Dr. Kenneth P. Romero, your course instructor. Today, we will talk about the global interstate system. So, what is global interstate system? It is a whole system of human interactions. The modern world system is structured politically as an interstate system, a system of competing and allying states. Political scientists commonly call this the international system, and it is the main focus of the field of international relations. In other words, global interstate system pertains to the institution that govern international relations. The strength. It makes travel less cheaper, faster, and better. Weaknesses. Impose long-term costs in the country. Cut down on competition between shippers and passenger carriers. Rising consumption of gasoline led to air pollution and a dependence on oil that affected consumers and foreign policy for generations to come. Institutions that govern international relations. Brief history of United Nations. United States President Franklin Roosevelt coined the name United Nations that was used in the Declaration of United Nations on January 1, 1942. Only 26 nations representatives pledged their governments to employ its full resources, military or economic, against those members of the Tripartite Pact and its adherents with which such government is at war. Each government pledged itself to cooperate with a government signatory hereto, and not to make a separate armistice or peace with the enemies. Also, the United Nations means allies to fight against the Axis powers in the World War II. The United Nations officially comes to existence. 50 countries' representatives met and held the United Nations Conference on International Organization to officially make the United Nations Charter. Did you know that the Philippines is 20th signatory in the United Nations Charter? At this juncture, we have selected institutions associated with world trade. We have World Bank, the international financial institution that provides loans to countries of the world for capital projects. It was established by the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, or the Bretton Woods Conference. World Bank Group. First, International Bank Reconstruction and Development offers loans to middle income countries to develop and improve their economy. Second, International Finance Corporation, providing loans for private sectors in developing countries to create markets that open up opportunities for all. Third, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. It promotes foreign direct investment into developing countries to help support economic growth, reduce poverty, and improves people's lives. Fourth, International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. administered the majority of all international investment cases. It is the forum for investor in most of international investment treaties and in numerous investment laws and contracts. Fifth, International Monetary Fund ensure the stability of the international monetary system. It does so in three ways: keeping track of the global economy and the economies of member countries, lending to countries with balance of payments difficulties, and giving practical help to members. Sixth, World Trade Organization regulates international trade deals with the rule of trade between nations, ensures that trade will flow as smoothly, predictably, and freely as possible, acts as forum in negotiation trade agreements. Seventh, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development consists of 35 member countries, stimulates economic progress and world trade, provides a platform to compare policy experiences, seeking answers to common problems, identify good practices, and coordinate domestic and international policies of its members. Now, let's talk about trade agreement. Trade agreement or any contractual arrangement between states concerning their trade relationships. Trade agreements may be bilateral, it is between two states, or multilateral, it is more than two states. In other words, trade agreements occur when two or more nations agree on the terms of trade between them. They determine the tariffs and duties that countries impose on imports and exports. All trade agreements affect international trade. So, now let's talk about the difference between imports and exports. If we say imports, these are goods and services produced in a foreign country and bought by domestic residents. This includes anything shipped into the country, even if it's by the foreign subsidiary of a domestic firm. If the consumer is inside the country's boundaries and the provider is outside, then the good or service is an import. Exports are goods and services that are made in a country and sold outside its borders. This includes anything shipped from a domestic company to its foreign affiliate or branch. Three types of trade agreements. First, we have unilateral trade agreements. This occur when a country imposes trade restrictions and no other country reciprocates. A country can also unilaterally loosen trade restrictions, but that rarely happens. It would put the country at a competitive disadvantage. For example, the United States and other developed countries only do this as a type of foreign aid in order to help the emerging markets strengthen its strategic industries that are too small to be a threat. It helps the emerging markets economy grow, creating new markets for US exporters. Second, bilateral trade agreements involve two countries. Both countries agree to loosen trade restrictions to expand business opportunities between them. They lower tariffs and confer preferred trade status on each other. The sticking point usually centers around key protected or government subsidized domestic industries. Bilateral trade agreements happen for most countries. These are in the automotive, oil, or food production industries. The Obama administration was negotiating the world's largest bilateral agreement, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership with the European Union. Third, Multilateral trade agreement. These agreements among three countries or more are the most difficult to negotiate. The greater the number of participants, the more difficult the negotiations are. By nature, they are more complex than bilateral agreements, as each country has its own needs and requests. Once negotiated, multilateral agreements are very powerful. They cover a large geographic area, which confers a greater competitive advantage on the signatories. All countries also give each other most favored nation status, granting the best mutual trade terms and lowest tariffs. So, do you have any question? So, that's it for today. For the evaluation of your learning, I will send the link on our group chat. I hope you learned something today. Thank you so much.